Yo, what's going on? I want to welcome everybody back to the official first episode of 2022 of the Prolification podcast. Before we get into anything, I just really want to, apologize for my absence. I don't really want to drop too many excuses, but while I was gone, I wasn't just sitting idle. You know what I'm saying? I was really working on a lot of different stuff. It's kind of like when Herb said, if I say I'm going gangster, I mean I'm working on something. I was kind of really just in another space at the moment. So, unfortunately, I had to put this on the back burner. Accidentally, you know what I'm saying? I never really wanted to, give y'all the idea that I was done or that I was, not really interested in coming back and speaking. It was just I just had a lot of stuff going on. But I do want to remind y'all to go ahead and follow all of the social medias. So that's the @_prolification Instagram page, the Prolification Podcast YouTube page. All of that stuff is up. I'm gonna be real active on these for these upcoming months, this upcoming year, going forward. If you want to stay up to tune on like visuals, updates, posts, info, all that, you want to follow those pages. So that's on Instagram. That's _prolification, and that's YouTube Prolification Podcast. You hear me? So, the first official episode, as y'all saw in the title, is called Construction, right? And we really just gonna be talking about constructive criticism and why it's so important that people learn how to constructively criticize other people, whether they friend or foe. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, they may think that they know what constructive criticism is, but the reality is not a lot of people know how to successfully go about, telling somebody what they doing good and what they doing wrong and how they can improve. So that's really what we're gonna be talking about today. So I want y'all to understand that speech and dialogue amongst human beings is one of the most relevant tools that you'll ever come across in your life, right? It's one of the things that we kind of do every day. I don't know too many people who go a whole day without speaking verbally to anybody or without exchanging words via, word to mouth, text, email, video. I don't know a single person who really goes throughout their life without doing that at least once a day, right? So I bring that up to say that speech is something that we really need to understand and really try to master throughout some time frame in our life, because it has a direct impact on how we live, how we thrive, how we develop, how we build relationships, how we communicate, how we do everything damn near, if I'm being honest, right? And I would hate for it to be detrimental to those who are ignorant and not really up to date or in the know of how to use their speech to get to where they want to be at or to get to where they want to go. You know what I'm saying? So you got to understand how circumstances can be influenced by said dialogues, right? So I want to give y'all an example, right? If you've ever been in school and you've been in a class and say, for example, when we had read alouds in class, right? We was in grammar school, we were shorties and we had kids, and the teacher would call on somebody to read to the class. Now, if the person reading was to stumble over some words, right? And you had that one classmate to be like, bro, you can't even read for real, right? Or, you messing up on the words, and it'll make that reader feel self-conscious. It'll make that reader feel, inferior or less than, right? But then the teacher would come back and be like, no, it's okay, just slow down, pronounce the words fully, and just keep going. You're doing good, right? That's ideal constructive criticism that we didn't even really understand or recognize at the moment that we have been pre-exposed to, like at an early age, right? And I brought up that example because I want everybody to relate to this, because at one point in your life, I can probably guarantee that there's probably still points in your life today to where you do stuff not as good as someone or even yourself may want you to do, and somebody comes and they either say something that rubs you the wrong way, and you feel some type of way, you develop some type of emotional or, mental, anti against what was said. And there's somebody in your life who really encourages you and builds you up and, constructively critiques what you're doing or, what that practice is. So I want you to just think about how it made you feel when said person said it in a way of like, bro, you don't even know what you're doing, versus somebody say, I see what you're doing. It would be better if you did this, but I like how you're doing this. You get what I'm saying? So we really got to understand how that is. So I really want to break down how you should give constructive criticism, because I can't really tell people that they should be doing something if I myself don't tell them what to do. You get what I'm saying? So really, they teach this in a lot of, and it's actually, hold on, side note, it's actually kind of crazy, the fact that if you notice or if you do research, a lot of companies introduce new employees to team building exercises and workshops in which they learn how to constructively criticize people. And I mention that because it's kind of crazy that we really don't get that direct hands-on training when it comes to how to constructively criticize somebody until we get into adulthood. Until we out of adolescence, we 20 years old, 20 plus years old, and we want to, go into a field. And now we got workshops telling us how to talk to people. But I've been in pre-K and kindergarten and first and third and fourth and so on grades my entire life, and nobody ever really sat me down and said, okay, look, this is how you want to talk to people. You know what I'm saying? It's like that whole idea or process of basic human interaction wasn't really drilled in us, right? And it's crazy because honestly, if more people, or if we got exposed and got sat down and got taught how to do this more in detail and more sternly growing up, the world would be way better because people would talk to each other way better, right? So I really want y'all to understand the importance of what it is that I'm talking about. So usually, right, when you teach somebody how to constructively criticize, they call it a burger method, right? So that means you layer something that they're doing good, or you layer a positive, then a negative, and then another positive. So for example, right, and the example that I used earlier with the reading alouds when we were shorties, right? The improper or incorrect way to to critique and criticize somebody was to say nah, that nah, I don't even want to use that. I'm gonna use a contemporary example. If I had a friend, right, and he was say he was, I don't know, bro. If people do so much, it's so hard to really, narrow it down like that. Say he was dancing, right? Well, no. Say he was riding a bike. Say he was riding a bike, right? But he kept falling and shit. So a bad thing, if I see my friend trying to ride a bike at 20 years old, 21 years old, and he keeps falling over, the bad thing for me to do would be able to say yeah, bro, that shit was weak, bro. You suck. Yo ass, if you don't know how to ride a bike by now, you probably never gonna learn how to ride a bike. Right? And that's me harshly telling him that he's not very good at riding a bike. But what did I do in the process? I killed his motivation to actually learn how to ride a bike. I didn't help him progress at all in learning how to ride the bike. All I did was put him down. Right? Sometimes people give these statements and these comments out and they think oh, it's just tough love, or I'm just keeping it real. I'm just telling you how it is. But really, they don't understand the effects that can have on somebody's mental, emotional, internal state of being in that time, especially when it's close to you. Because a lot of us receive criticism and critiques from the people's closest to us, right? And I'm not gonna lie, me being a person who experienced it myself, I'm speaking from my own person. It hurts way more when somebody you care about can't actively or positively, help you progress in a certain journey, right? So imagine I said that, or imagine you or somebody said that to you, how you would feel, right? Versus if I was to see my close associate, riding a bike, and I was to say, all right, bro, look, you getting it good because I see you moving your feet. I see you working the pedals. The only thing you doing wrong is you kind of swaying side to side too much. So you causing yourself to lose balance, and that's why you keep falling, bro. So what I want you to do is really practice on keeping your feet moving forward, pedaling, and just keeping your body upright so then you can maintain balance as you go down the street. So now when my friend gets up off the ground where he just felt low and I helped him get back up, literally, metaphorically, and physically, like in real life, now he okay, cool, all right, bro watching me, all right, bro said that I'm doing good on my feet, so I'll make sure I do that. But I'm moving side to side. All right, I gotta straighten my back up while I'm riding the bike so I can get my balance and keep my balance as I pick up speed. Okay, boom, I'm finna do that. Next thing you know, a couple tries later, now he riding a bike without the help or without the aid of you because you helped him at the beginning, right? And as simple as that process is, it's kind of the same basis in any situation, whether you riding a bike, whether you drawing a picture, whether you writing a book, whether you working on a project, whether you start a business, anything. And the reality of true construction, right, is the building aspect. Not the tearing down, it's the building aspect. It's the reality, or it's the part of us talking and helping another person that makes them get progressive in what it is that they're doing. It's not us, knocking them down, or it's not us trying to, joke on them or, clown on them. It's really us helping them, saying okay, bro, look, I know it's hard. I know you're doing something that you may not fully understand, or you trying for the first time. People don't just master stuff one and done. You know what I'm saying? It really don't. And when you encourage people to really talk and speak in a way that does, right, it makes people want to improve, You know what I'm saying? I witnessed it myself. When you talk to somebody the right way and you really helping them, it's like it makes them want to do better. It makes them want to try, because not only do they see that you want it for them, you build up the will and the zeal for them to want it for themselves. Right? And that's a personal standpoint. Like, how many times in the last 7 days has someone offered you correction, but it really wasn't done or offered in the right way, so you kind of like disregarded it and brushed it off? I want you to ask yourself that. Because in this day and age where we got so many people wanting to be entrepreneurs, wanting to do for themselves, wanting to get out here and try new things, wanting to explore new passions, new walks of life, new habits, new practices, new behaviors, we often, face criticism on that, especially with social media being at an all-time high as it is right now, right? So I want y'all to really think, like, in the last 7 days, how many times did that happen to me, right? And I want y'all to think, if that person would have said this better, or I know when you look back and be like, well, they ain't have to say it like this, or if they would have really said this and left that part out, maybe I would have felt better after the conversation, right? And I want y'all to understand, like, a year ago, right? I really was took off on the ground running. I really was super passionate, and I had someone I didn't even know, right, really critique what it is I was doing, and let me know how I was, building up redundancy by using certain words, or I was stuttering over certain phrases, or I was repetitively using the same, transitions or something like this. And it really let me know, like, okay, cool. I don't want to sound, slow on a podcast when I'm talking. I don't want to sound like, uneducated. I don't want to sound redundant. I don't want people to get bored hearing me speak, but what they did and how they presented it to me, especially them being a random, right? Especially them being somebody I had no personal attachment to, I hadn't known them before. We actually got linked up through a common entity. So it was crazy to see that a completely random person critiqued me, told me everything I was doing great, some stuff I can do better, and what I could do to help me get better at what I was doing. And when I applied it, it kind of was like, damn, that was like perfect. That was like perfect. And I really want y'all to know, like, when you do these things and when you talk to people a certain way, or a certain way, you build up a space, or you build up a place where you and them have a connection, or you and them have an understanding, to where now they'll come to you for that critique. As you grow and as you develop relationships with people, you learn that once y'all locked in, they kind of act towards you differently than you see them acting with other people. You know what I'm saying? Every person acts differently towards an individual, based on how that person makes them feel. So when you give them constructive criticism, or when you build them up the right way, the space is comfortable, it's productive. You know what I'm saying? It gives you the ability to look through a perspective other than your own. That's why it's so important not only to learn how to do it, but be able to also recognize when it's being done wrong. Because if you learn how to, constructively criticize people and talk to them like you want to invest and build them up rather than tear them down, you also notice that when it's on the receiving end, right? Because a lot of people, they have these situations to where they go to people who they really care about or who they know, and they ask for help or ask for their opinions, but they don't really know what's good criticism. So whole time you run into that person or those persons looking for the aid, and all they doing is really killing the zeal. They killing your flame, right? And I really want y'all to understand that I always speak for myself. And when I work for myself and I do things for myself, I kind of have this tendency to get caught up in my way, and I may neglect other things or make kind of unconscious errors. So you have to develop those relationships with people where they're going to build you up, because that'll give you an alternative outlook and perspective on what it is that you're doing that you wouldn't have been able to see on your own. Am I making sense when I say that? It really goes a long way. Right? When I think about how many times I've seen like negative critique, like really kill somebody's dream, or really like beat somebody down, it's like it really be like, damn, like why bro had to say that like that, or why sis had to come at him like that. And I want y'all to really practice this, because in this day and age, correction has really grown to be looked at as a form of hate, as like envy, as like like not really progressive. Because not because progression, or not apologies, not because correction is wrong, right? Look, the irony of correction being wrong. Not because correction is wrong, but it's the way in which the correction has been given or has been done, right? Let's go back to the bike analogy when I was, the hypothetical situation I gave with the bike, right? If I wasn't to correct bro and say, man, you ain't never gonna get your shit together if you don't, keep your motherfucking back straight, or that's why your ass weak. You know what I'm saying? If I talk to somebody like that and be like, yeah, bro, your weak ass can keep your back straight. That's why the fuck you keep falling. Excuse how I just said that. But if I was really trying to talk to somebody like that, bro, it might distract them from what I'm trying to say. Really, in those words, I did say, okay, I did put the answer in there. If you kept your back straight, you won't fall because you're going to keep your balance. But it was me saying, that's why your ass weak. You feel me? It was me saying, this why your ass not going to get good. The critique and the wording and the syntax and the diction and the accumulation and the putting together of the words makes all of the difference. Right? It makes all of the difference. Now, what I'm not saying is that everyone who ever says something to you or corrects you is always going to be right. But even being able to look at certain other perspectives and, outlooks other than your own, they may serve value. Always they may serve value, whether they're wrong or right. So I'm not saying, take that with a grain of salt, or, just understand that you can learn from everybody around you when it comes to, how they talk and how they build. But in order to really build these situations up to where they are progressive and helpful and beneficial to us, we have to first learn how to constructively criticize people. And then we have to learn how to recognize when we're not being, or when we are being constructively criticized, right? And I read an article, and they was talking about how most people, like I mentioned earlier, they never really directly talk about constructive criticism until they adults. And it's kind of crazy because if y'all lived a certain amount of years, you understand that the person we are now, or the person, I'm gonna speak for myself, the person I am now was molded by the interactions to the person that I was then. So now I'm kind of looking at it like, if I had been talked to better at certain points in my life, would I have received information differently? Or if I had been, aided differently in certain periods, certain circumstances, would my results have, varied? And the reality is, I may never know. But what I do recognize now is that I have the ability to serve, in a way in which it can be beneficial. It can be a profit, or it can be a deficit. It can be a gain, or it can be a loss. It can be helpful, or it can be, detrimental to anybody, including myself, including my family, including my friends, including my enemies, including my randoms. So I really want y'all to take the time to understand, the subtle nuances and interactive practices that aid in maneuvering how we need to in this reality that we live in, right? Because trust me, like, it makes a world of a difference. Like, the world that you'll get or introduce yourself to by learning how to talk is crazy. And I'm gonna get into it in another episode, but it's crazy. And you will be surprised at how many people don't know how to talk. How rare the skill is of learning how to talk to other people, right? It's crazy how you can make somebody feel just by the words you use and the words in which you say, or how you say the words, tone, what words you say and put before other words. So, like I said, I know a lot of people, they don't really address constructive criticism because sometimes you may give the people giving it to you the benefit of the doubt, but you gotta take that time to sit back, because regardless if the situation is different, if it's a employer to an employee, if it's a parent to a child, if it's a teacher to a student, a friend to a friend, the words exchanged in those dialogues really make or break further or future interaction. Because I know personally, I don't like talking to people who make me feel certain ways after we talk. But I love talking to people who make me feel good about myself, or make me walk away feeling, somewhat better as we do that, right? So I really want just end this off with a quote that I really it really stuck to me. I had the quote in my head for a long time, but it really kind of embodies the message that I'm trying to deliver, right? The quote is, "I can't hear what you're saying because what you're doing is too loud," meaning that just doing anything means nothing unless you're doing it the right way. So like in regards to speech and talking to people, it's everything. Tone, word choice, delivery, structure, all of those variables should always be considered when conveying a message to anyone not you. Because the reality is, because you have to articulate in a certain way that everybody can respectfully understand, you may never really truly come to the same understanding of something as another person because y'all think differently. You following? So you have to really learn how to maneuver and use these tools to convey messages and talk and understand to anybody, whether it's a elder, a younger, a friend, a family member, a mother, a brother, a cousin, anything like that. Because your speech can influence others. Words are so powerful nowadays, and you gotta learn how to use your tools because everybody can learn how to talk. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows how to talk. I don't know a single person. I got a little sister. She learned how to talk right now. So I'm kind of I'm kind of trying to build her up into the words and let her know how you want to talk and how you want to say thank you and everything like that. But that's a conversation for another day. But almost everybody I know in my life knows how to talk. So why not learn how to talk the right way? And what everything I say on here, I'm not trying to tell you all what to think. I'm just trying to give you some things to think about. So I want to encourage everybody who's listening to this episode to go out, and try to critique or give 5 people, right, that you see doing something that may be new to them, or you see them doing something that's already old to them. I want to encourage y'all to go out and give positive and constructive criticism or aid to 5 people who you see doing something that may be challenging to them, whether it's old or new, right? And I want you to also make a mental note to maybe recognize when somebody is giving you correction or critique, maybe two or three times, and realize, okay, I recognize that they didn't talk to me the right way. That was bad criticism. I recognize that they talked to me, and that was good. That really helped me. It really opened my eyes a little bit, right? So, thank y'all for tuning in. I want to say, I'm gonna be real consistent. I put on my Instagram the other day that I'm really reloaded when it comes to this media podcast stuff. Like, I'm really focused. The visual to these episodes are about to drop in a soon second. You know what I'm saying? So just y'all can hold y'all breath on that because that's how fast I'm really about to get these visuals out to y'all. That's no fluff, that's no huff, that's real rap, no cap type shit. So, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. And I want everybody to have a peaceful, constructive, and progressive day. And y'all be smooth. I'm out.